Hello everybody and welcome to the LCS Challengers League promotion tournament presented to you by Subway. We are here for day number 3 of this 6-day battle to figure out which teams will be making their way back into the Challengers League for the summer split of 2024. My name is Grapes, coming here from the NACL Qualifiers. Pleasure to be here once again, and joining me of course is Cubby for our first elimination best of 3s of this promotion tournament.
Honestly, Grapes, great to have you today. I know 3 out of the 4 teams come from the OQs, and your expertise there has been fantastic all year with Hawk, so really glad I can join you. I had to catch up on some of the notes from all the tape that I missed throughout OQs. I caught some of it, hard to catch all. I know that you're an encyclopedia, so really glad to be joining you today to figure out who really is able to continue to fight for those spots, because if you lose today, you are going home.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories that we can get into as throughout the show, but first let's take a look at our bracket, partially completed. Of course, congratulations to Lit and CCG. They'll be playing tomorrow in a best of 5 to see who the first team to qualify back into the NACL will be, but right now our focus is down towards the lower bracket, and you said it, Cubby, 3 of the 4 teams, they're from the qualifiers, and it feels pretty bad that we're going to have to say goodbye to some of them. I feel like I'm choosing between some of my favorite children here.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the fact that we have that double collegiate matchup as, of course, one of the big storylines that we had in Challengers League this year was the success of Maryville and how good they played throughout the season. They were in our finals this Monday on the LCS stage. Winthrop, for me, very early on in spring, was actually the favorites to promote through this tournament and potentially join Maryville in Challengers League Summer. I think Winthrop's still a very strong team, but they ended up being toppled in the first final by Blue Otters, and then also fell short in the second OQ just to making finals as a whole. Definitely excited for the later matchup today, as the earlier matchup we will have to focus on. We do have Blue Otters versus Mirage Alliance. It's really the OQ trying to take down a team that had to make roster changes going into this promotion tournament as the 10th seed from Challengers League.
Yeah, I know a lot of people had a lot of high expectations for this new look Mirage Alliance roster. Of course, making some changes. 4 of the 5 roles are actually occupied by different players now, even though Dardoch and Prismal are still on the team. And then it's those new additions, Neo and Saligo, coming back here to try and be that supplement to help Mirage Alliance get over that hump.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I think today is going to be a good barometer to kind of see where Mirage Alliance is, because I was one of the many people that had high expectations for this team. The 2 teams I had getting out of this tournament were CCG and Mirage Alliance. And Mirage Alliance, they fell to CCG, who look very strong right now. I don't think they played terribly in those games, but this is a match where, again, you have to win to kind of move on and move forward in this. And for me, I think Mirage Alliance needs to show that they have a little bit smarter takes in terms of some of their fights. And they will have the opportunity to do that against Blue Otter, who put up a decent fight against Winthrop, but didn't put the pieces together in that third game where I feel like they did have that early lead.
Well, let's take a look at their roster. Blue Otter, of course, winners of the first NACL qualifier tournament when they were known as Aporia. Their roster features some players who were in the NACL as recently as last split, and also a new player in the mid lane in Samakin, who, Cubby, has been a player that I have particularly been excited about watching. He's with our quote-unquote newcomer of the split, and has put on some really great performances in the mid lane.
Yeah, he hails as a Zoe one-trick from solo queue, but has really started to round out his play. His play was massive in Game 1 against Winthrop that found them the one win they found in that best-of-3 series. And across the board, some familiar faces from Challengers League as well for me. Looking at Lynx and Rovex, I think Lynx has always been more serviceable at worst in that role and continues to be so with the squad. And Rovex, that role spot from mid to support. The pool can still be wide if he wants it to be wide, which is always nice in Fearless Draft.
I know Lake's a good Senna player. That always creates situations where we can see Rovex cook a little bit. Definitely saw some of that down there in Tier 3. Taking a look at their opponents, though, again, facing elimination is Mirage Alliance. They have Alorum staying strong in that top lane, and then everybody kind of either shuffling around or rejoining this team. I say rejoining specifically towards Neo in the bot lane, who was part of the original Mirage Alliance roster that promoted in last split at the end of summer.
Yeah, the big part about that roster was really Neo, Dardoch, and Chad. It felt like Dardoch could kind of read Chad's mind with the aggression that he wanted to have on the Rift, and Dardoch himself was a very strong, engaged support. But it was funny because I was talking to Prismal at the start of the split when they were kind of trying to figure out how to piece this roster together, and he's like, hey, should I be AD or support? Like, what do you think? And I was like, you like to play aggressive. Support has less economy, but you can make plays. I feel like you have good vision for the game. And he was going to be a support originally. Then there was that last-second roster swap that put him back at AD. For me, it felt like it took Prismal about halfway through the split to really pick back up in that role. And they kind of dropped too many games at the start. So now going back to support, we are seeing Prismal be very aggressive for better or worse in that bot side. And we'll see if him and Dardoch can sync up today. Again, that 0-2 against CCG. I feel like CCG are the strongest team that we have in the tournament. So I think, again, this is a very good barometer to see where is Mirage Alliance and can they really run the lower bracket, which they did the first time they promoted in the Challengers League last summer to make it back.
Yeah, you remember, even in that promotion tournament, Mirage Alliance lost their first series and then ended up having to go through that lower bracket just like they are doing right now. We are in the draft, so we'll see if that lower bracket run can continue or Mirage will be headed home, potentially back to the qualifiers for the summer split. As you see here on the ban screen right now, that Zoe that we talked about going to be taken away from Samikin. I would be surprised to see it let through throughout any of these games. We also see the Rumble. That has been something that Lawrence has been playing a lot of. Had a good game yesterday, or against Denethor.
Yeah, found some solo kills in that Cassante matchup. And, of course, Alorum still being that tank specialist. We have seen Alorum round out his play as always. Alorum's always a player that I love having in Challengers League. I feel like whatever champ he does bring to the Rift, he knows how to play well. He has very good vision for how to play map, too. I thought he was a strong point for Mirage Alliance and what was a disappointing spring split. And he is one of the people that have been playing that early Rek'Sai that we've really been talking about. Grapes. It's a pick that's really emerged into the meta after some massive changes, as you can just trade in the top lane, then you can burrow and you get all your health back, and it's all okay.
The number, like the health value number that I saw after the Rek'Sai press W baffled me every time I saw it, no matter what point in the game it was. We'll see if we see it again. Hey, Lawrence and Alorum both were able to pick it up last time, earlier on in this promotion tournament, I should say. But the first pick for Mirage going to be going towards Neo. It is that Kalista, and that's something that he's very, very comfortable on. Yeah,
I do want to shout out real quick that this is 14.6, so we were watching all of NA on 14.5. This is still 14.6. This is the patch that LPL and LCK are playing on for playoffs. So Smolder's gone. We don't see Smolder in the pick ban anymore. And curiously enough, actually deny. So the other top laner that was playing the Rek'Sai was Lawrence. So he will take that and deny it from Alorum. I must say with this pick, the power that you have in lane, your ability to proxy farm, to just be a menace going through your tunnel network that you can set up on the top side, is very strong. In team fights, though, I feel like the only good team fighting Rek'Sai I saw was actually last night when I was watching LCK playoffs, as it was really a fantastic series coming out from Doran on this Rek'Sai. And I think that you need CC to set this champion up, because if your engage is just to burrow on your own, it's lackluster. So I want to see Blue Otter take some more tools, and something like a Nautilus could be really useful here, just to try and close the gap against Kalista plus Ashe, as that Ahri counter notably also taken against Talia. And Grapes, I gotta admit, is this a flexible pick here for Blue Otters here? Have you seen Music, Talia?
I don't remember entirely, but I know Music plays kind of everything, so I would not be surprised if this gets flexed around. That is definitely a strategy that they are employing here in this first rotation. However, I will say Samikin also very strong on this pick. And you were talking about how hard CC, Cubby. The Pyke definitely does that, at least in single target form.
We saw Busio play this in LCS playoffs, and I gotta admit, I can throw on my old man hat here. I used to have to coach against Columbia College, where Rovex played mid, and he was a Pyke mid player. So this is kind of reaching deep here for Rovex, grabbing the Pyke. It is good against double marksman if you are able to hit those bone skewers, but I was kind of assuming that we're going to see Nautilus, but again, this is something where they could feel Pyke is really effective this game and maybe save Nautilus for later in this best of 3, as we are, of course, in Fearless Draft.
You see the double marksman, as you said, one-shot some of them pretty easily if you have enough setup on top of the bone skewer from Rovex. So that would be an interesting pick that we have to keep our eyes on as we head into the second phase of the draft. They are targeting Dardoch here with that Vi takeaway. Link's very known for his Aphelios, so not surprised to see that one off the board. What do you do into this double marksman comp right now? What's like the best ADC that you think Lynx could pick up in this situation?
I'm thinking maybe Ezreal. I also gotta say that the Vi take is a bit awkward to me, because this is actually a pretty good game for Vi, given that you would have Vi Talia. But maybe Blue Otter are thinking, hey, if we pick this, then we could see Poppy come out, and Poppy is a good jungler at holding the door for Ashe Kalista, as this is a very squishy bot lane. So that's kind of where my head's at right now. I'm thinking that we're just going to see AD taken. I'm expecting something like Ezreal or Jhin. And Kai'Sa being taken away is quite interesting to me because I think Kalista Ashe can kind of crush a Kai'Sa lane. So, yeah, kind of curious. But Ezreal, Jhin, probably the look here for thanks.
I think more Ezreal would make a lot of sense here. That is something that I think we saw Instinct play yesterday for CCG. Looked pretty good on it. Have a lot of mobility to get around and get into range against that Kalista Ashe lane, and we will see Lynx lock it in. That leaves that last pick either for Music or Samikin, so they still have that Talia flex employed for them, which I think is a good thing. It kind of keeps Mirage Alliance on their toes a little bit.
Yeah, interested to see what Alorum grabs on the top side. Obviously, some tankiness is nice, but Rek'Sai, in the 1v1 tank matchups, she just heals so much. It's really tough to play, so you're just trying to survive. I could see just the Cassante for Alorum. It hasn't been his strongest pick, but it is something that he can play. Or Udyr. Okay, I would like Udyr a lot for Alorum. He was one of our better Udyr players, and I think this is a really nice game for Udyr in terms of setup.
So are we just going to be double proxying this game then? We just have the
potentially
on opposite sides of the map?
Yeah, potentially. This is something I feel like Alorum actually used really well on map. The one concern I kind of have is that this Ahri plus Sin will have to go in on their own. And going in around that Unraveled Earth, Udyr is best for me when you're just able to get stuns off in terms of peeling. It's really tough to reach back and actually find an Ezreal. So that said, Ezreal won't really do meaningful damage to Udyr. I think this forces Lynx to go for a Trinity Force LDR build. And that's going to be something that could be quite interesting as we round out our draft with that Jax counter pick to Xin Zhao, something we're very used to seeing. And Jax really has a ton of value this game. So I like this draft actually a lot for Blue Otter, given the Jax made it all the way through.
Yeah, this seems like a pretty standard Blue Otter composition. You have like a bot lane that can win, and you have Rovex on that playmaker. Samikin on his control mage that he will be able to take over the game with as we get later on. And then Lawrence and Music kind of just... Lawrence, going to be able to chill kind of by himself a little bit. I think the biggest struggle that we saw Lawrence deal with was the early game, and playing this Rek'Sai, I think, kind of is able to get him through some of that with the amount of healing that he has, and also playing against Alorum, who is probably not super concerned about the early game as well.
I gotta say, Alorum, I saw him get quite a few solo kills on the Udyr. He's one of the stronger players that we have on that champion, so I know that Alorum, it's not just that he's just a tank player. I really feel like whatever champ he does pull out, he has a good feel of. But for me, Blue Otter, they have scaling. Ezreal and Jax, especially Jax in this comp, will scale really hard. Gonna see how hard Mirage Alliance can press their foot on the gas early to try and get a lead in this one, Graves.
Well, here we are. The first best of 3 that would result in an elimination in the NACL promotion tournament. Make sure to spam in chat who you have on your side. If you're a qualifiers guy or maybe an NACL fan, either way, you could see those numbers go one way or the other. We see Mirage Alliance back as 5 to start things off. Wanted to make sure they're able to catch off a straggler if Blue Otter were going for a 5-point.
I also do, before we get too deep into this, I do want to shout out Blue Otter, as they're actually an organization that puts on tournaments here in the space. So I know that personally my roommates, Joshi and Rafa, actually used to play in there with the team. It was a lower elo tournament because Rafa's a noob. But, they had a lot of fun, and I think they actually put a lot of effort into making sure these tournaments are fun and fair for everyone at all levels. So just wanted to give them a shout out, as they did step in as a name sponsor to these guys, and they did good work in the community.
Yeah, I mean, they were even... This group of 5 was under a different organization in the first qualifier, and Blue Water was able to pick them up after they were looking for some change. And, always good to see, like, our other community, Tier 3, Tier 4, almost, organizers, like, be a part of this space as well.
Do want to shout, though, we had a little bit of action. Prismal trying to harass Lynx on the way into lane. They aren't going to be able to hit that, but will be a bit of a trade on the map, as Prismal really looking to use that early level 1 power the Ashe has, and has opened up a split map scenario with Dardoch starting on the blue side of Blue Otters, as Prismal needs another. He's actually in danger here.
I'll say, yeah, that's a lot of Bone Skewers that have gone Prismal's way. The Hail of Blades enough to get some damage back onto Rovex, but now that the level 1 Ashe suddenly in a little bit of trouble. Music's going to blast cone over the wall. I don't know if he knows that Dardoch is here. This could definitely be an interesting fight. Music's going to smite it. Dardoch does not have the summoner spell, and all of a sudden he's in trouble. Samikin coming in as well. The Unraveled Earth on top of him, and that is first blood here for Music.
Nightmare scenario for Mirage Alliance. In theory, when you're taking something like the Kalista Ashe, you're going to be strong enough and bully the bot lane hard enough where Prismal can actually rotate up to help you in the jungle, but given the trades that we saw early on, that wasn't an option at all for Prismal, and it's just an easy rotation from Samikin, who helped accelerate Music's clear, given that he was queuing the Raptors in the first place. And it really paid off for Blue Otter as they find an easy first blood, and now Music off to the races in the jungle.
The only slight issue is that, of course, now Music is stuck on a side of the map without any jungle camps, and Dardoch is going to be able to complete that 3 buff, but able to rotate back around, actually maybe even going for an invade as well. As Dardoch picks up his red, those Raptors are definitely under threat now.
And that invade's free. Music's already level 3. Dardoch needs to take this camp to even try and sniff level 3 himself, so just a free take for Music. Yeah, he might have been on the wrong side of the map, but able to cash in. And let's see if Dardoch falls for it. I think he's going to take the long way around, understanding that his Raptors could have been under siege. No, he won't, but he's going to get spotted by the Blast Cone. He's going to get the bad news, and Dardoch set even further behind.
One of those situations where even though the blue buff went over to the invading jungler, like all of a sudden Music is fully in control of this game now.
Oh, yeah.
He has the first Scuttle Crab down bottom lane. They actually, in that situation, forced Neo and Prismal to go back to base first. So now that bottom lane is a little bit more neutralized after all the pressure that Prismal put down there onto Rovex to start things off. So Blue Otter overall in a very good spot in this game, and it'll be up to Music to try to continue to push that lead.
And that's really important because, like, again, setting up this draft, Grapes, I think it's really important that Mirage Alliance finds leads. They need this Kalista Ashe to do stuff early. It's not like Udyr can be a frontline for Kalista later on, but the scaling that Blue Otter has, especially with this Jax, is going to be deadly. And a Jax at 2 items, once you get north of level 11, that Counter-Strike is valuable against 4 members in this game. And then you get the bonus MR from your R, and the fact that, like, you're able to stack up just free magic resist. Jax is going to be so incredibly useful later on, so Music getting a start like this where he can't really be pushed around, really important for Blue Otter's win con.
I mean, right now, gold about even, but that's a good sign for Blue Otter. Mirage Alliance going to push this bottom lane in. They have the dragon spawning in about 20 seconds, as Dardoch has gone back to base. You know, if you can continue pushing this bottom lane in, getting those early drakes, another way to push that lead, and so see Soligo now making a roam down there as well. They want to make sure they have as much vision around this bottom side quadrant as possible.
Unsecure does go wide there from Rovex, but still, the fact that Ezreal's even in CS in this lane, that's not what you want when you're taking something like a Kalista Ashe. So I think the good news later on for Mirage Alliance, there's a real opportunity for Ashe to tail Ahri in these side lanes and really hunt for Enchanted Crystal arrows to try and create pick scenarios. And Mirage Alliance, at least with the Kalista comp, even though not everything is going the way they want to early, taking a dragon on this timer would be very big. That said, though, Blue Otter, they're here, and they're going to actually push them off, which is massive.
Wow. I'm surprised that they they were able to retreat that early, but with the teleport coming in from Samikin, I guess that's all it needs.
It was matched by Soligo, but again, Music being here and being strong already has that phage completed. If he were to get into that fight, the Jax could really ruin the game for Mirage Alliance. So yet another scenario where Blue Otter are delaying Dardoch.
You know what that is? I might be just in my qualifiers brain right now.
Yeah.
I feel like a qualifiers team against Blue Otter would have just stayed on the dragon and then maybe gotten wiped by Music. And so this is the difference. We're taking a bit of a step up here. Mirage Alliance, they're still in the NACL. They have very experienced, solid players, of course.
And that is something where a lot of these players have actually been in promotion tournaments before, but the old school ones, we're actually trying to promote to LCS. Zarok and Alorum have been in those scenarios. This is the most experienced roster we have here, hands down, until he gets caught.
He's in trouble right now. The Unraveled Earth going to stun up a little bit. Spirit Rush still has another charge. Is able to get a little bit of extra distance. Music continuing to chase here. Get a little bit of chunk onto Dardoch, but that is a big cooldown. Already off the board for Mirage Alliance's mid laner.
And TP was burned, so Samikin should be able to get this wave in and maybe deny a little bit away from the Ahri. That's a small win, as again, Music uses this Jax to skirmish, and with bot lane heading the base from Mirage Alliance, that the dragon stacking that you can do with Kalista comps early, usually that's the goal when you draft this champion. Yet again denied by Blue Otter as they'll take the first break.
Like these little things, Cubby, that Mirage Alliance, they wanted to get bot lane ahead. They wanted to have that, bottom side quadrant for the jungle secured. They wanted this first Drake, and Blue Otter so far have denied all of them. And so even though the gold lead only about 500, it really is Blue Otter kind of getting the better of Mirage Alliance so far in this early game. And that's why I want to credit Music here a little bit as well, because he's been such a great facilitator, great leader for this team, and it seems like he's the driving force so far behind the successes they've had in this early game.
Just understanding with that lethal tempo, you can find that level 2 duel, as Music really was able to turn things around. Also, Samick and having the presence of mind, hey, if you speed up my Raptors, maybe I can go contest the Xin Zhao early. Really well managed by Blue Otter, who did a nice job of dealing with the early pressure. And again, this is a draft for Mirage Alliance. I really have to focus on them early because I think that their draft needs to win early if they want to have a chance in this game. That's not been the case. It's been Blue Otter denying everything. So I think from here, let's see what happens when we have level 6 come in for the Callista Ashe. Maybe we find some fishes with ECA, and Blue Otter are going to try and get involved before those level 6s come in.
Oh, Bone Skewer lands on a Prismal. He has the summoner spells, but not enough health to utilize it. It is another kill going towards the bottom lane. Its Music picks up a second.
Oh, Charm goes wide from Saligo. He did have that ultimate available, but did want to cast it on the Unraveled Earth, so the answer was trying to be found in mid, and that's denied from Samikin as Blue Otter again find themselves a small lead.
Yeah, it's a really nicely played engage there by Rovex. He's going to look fun. Remember, Saligo just used the ult. Thankfully for him, it's on cooldown again, so he's able to dash out of there before the Bone Skewer does connect, but just continuing to put pressure on both Neo and Prismal, and also now Saligo. Rovex is doing a great job on this Pike.
And this is so tough so far for Mirage Alliance as Blue Otter. The map is theirs, and it's funny because we did see Pike picked into Ashe in LCS playoffs from Busio. And this is kind of the idea behind the pick, because if you get a foothold at all, your ability to find assassinations on the side lane and really out-roam Ashe, it makes it so difficult for Ashe to even leave that lane. So we're kind of seeing Prismal. I mean, he's helping Dardoch. He's hovering him on the jungle camps, kind of hoping that, hey, maybe if Pike face checks both of us, we can do something, right? Because that's the only option they have.
Yeah. And that's not generally a winning formula. You know, leave your Callista kind of by itself. Link's now officially just even in CS at the 10-minute mark and working towards that first completed item. Early game strength that we were looking for. Mirage Alliance haven't found that just yet. We parse back over to the top lane really quickly. We haven't talked about it much, and that's because there's nothing to talk about.
No, this has been just a fiery circle man against the healing Unburrow creature. Even CS.
They have the same
big
items.
Time.
They have even CS.
Yeah.
This is just
big time.
That's how it goes.
I will say later on, I do favor Udyr later on in this draft. So the fact that Lorm's even early, I think, means more as we do go late. But importantly, grubs were taken by Mirage Alliance when that first Drake was taken. So maybe we can see a 6 grub scenario for Mirage Alliance. I don't think that matters all too much. You'd much rather take the dragons if you are, honestly, either team here. But again, Blue Otter denying. I just really respect how they've kind of read the win cons of Mirage Alliance. And I know, Graves, coming into this matchup, you talked a lot about how Music is really the vocal player within this team, helping dictate a little bit of a younger roster around him. And the fact that he's ahead, and sometimes it makes it a lot easier when your main shot caller is having a good game to kind of dictate the rest of the map.
Yeah, I always hear those discussions of, you know, if you have the most resource on the team, even if you're not the primary shot caller, you have to take another step and call for what you think is the right move. And having both of those pieces on the same person, not a bad idea. You know, Music now having 2 kills. He has both of them working towards that Trinity Force, as you alluded to earlier on in the draft. Just being able to be the one to press the go button and also be the one to decide when to go in, definitely going to be pretty good for him.
At the moment, we did see an Enchanted Crystal Arrow go wide as Rovex, I believe he was able to dodge out of that with an E. You can see Mirage Alliance trying to fish around this cooldown. This is comeback mechanic for them if one of those connects. Would be big. There is no cleanse on the side of Blue Otter, so any potential setup to try and hit one of those would be big for the next dragon spawning as Music down in the brush. And a lot of respect being paid from Mirage Alliance, understanding that if Jax is here in the fight, who is spotted now with a Trinity Force completed, there really is no contest for Mirage Alliance. They need to find a way to play around Jax or remove him from the map if they want to try and win these fights.
I mean, you also saw as soon as that Enchanted Crystal Arrow went out, Rovex just immediately started going forward because he knows that he's not under threat as much. And with that, Samikin's able to push a wave in. Music is able to get escorted by Rovex to the grubs, and they're going to make sure that Mirage Alliance does not get that 6 grub counter like you said could be possible.
Interesting. I I think this is fine for Blue Otter. I'm just curious if they can play both objectives here. Stardock, he's now going to get the global notification. This has been taken. He can sneak towards the bot side of the map, maybe set a trap. But again, Blue Otter find the chunk on Saligo in the mid lane. He just TP'd back, so he's not going to be able to heal up that health. And I also really like what Blue Otter's done with this Pike pick. We've seen Rovex even trade Flash for ult, just trying his best to remove the cooldowns from Ahri and make sure that Saligo can't get going in this game. Because that is another point that Mirage Alliance can be really strong, just given they have Xin plus Ahri. A lot of potential to make plays and try and attack the squishy side of Blue Otter as Samikin gets another big chunk on Saligo. He does get stunned, though.
He's already low, but there comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well. Flashes away from the Fate's Call, but is still able to do a decent amount of DPS. In the meantime, the rest of the squad has arrived, and Blue Otter ready to fight this in a 4v4. Weaver's Wall comes down. A huge seismic shove, and Prismal is down for the count. Saligo less than 100 HP. Dardoch has to run for the hills as well. Rovex is fishing. He wants that death from below. Will he be able to find it? Not onto the Ahri, but maybe onto Dardoch as he lands the Bone Skewer. Still gonna be fishing. The True Shot Barrage barely goes wide, but Blue Otter still go 1 for nothing.
I mean, this is just all really set up by Samikin, finding the chunks, and Saligo's trying to stick the base here.
Oh, he's got to get out of there. What are you doing? Rovex just ulted into the bush. It's now 4-0 for our qualifier team.
That's a tilter. This is 2 Drakes. Plates going over. Blue Otter have such a massive lead at this point of the game, and this series of plays for me was really set up by Samikin because he found the initial chunk onto Saligo in the mid lane and then snowballed it, or the play was attempted on him in the bot side. That's what set him up to actually have this Weaver's Wall to further attack Mirage Alliance. But once he flashes out from that Callista Ashe where the arrow hit him and Ashe tried to go in off the Fate's Call, that fight's over. It's just Mirage Alliance trying to retreat, and so greedy here from Saligo, just sticking the base. He gets spotted after that. He returns to the brush. Rovex doesn't see him walk backwards. He has a move speed boost. He's like, all right, that's fine. I'm just going to take the gold in the brush. It's too free.
You see him if he leaves the bush, right? So he knew that he was still in there. So Rovex, you have to get a little bit of extra cash, I guess. Yeah, they're now up a pretty decent amount. And remember, this was the early game comp for Mirage Alliance that we were looking at, and Neo has still yet to complete his first item of the game. Rift Herald now up as both teams maneuvering towards the top side of the map. Enchanted Crystal Arrow will find its way onto Lynx, and all of a sudden Mirage Alliance going to dash forward. Music doing a good job to peel a dash away from Rovex, and so far nobody has gone down.
That's a good attempt. At least they get some summoner spells. Flash off the Jax is something they can punish, and the next round of spells that do come up from Mirage Alliance, a lot of flashes will be down. You see Alorum port to the bot side to catch a big wave. This actually opens up an angle where Samikin can walk up, and maybe they can find a late contestant fight on this Rift Herald.
Rovex still fishing, still being that nuisance here on the Pike. Lawrence now going to join the fight as well.
Can't do it.
And with Lynx and the rest of Blue Otter coming up, going to be Blue Otter once again chasing Mirage Alliance away from a major objective.
I mean, once Alorum TP's bot, unless you can kill Herald before Blue Otter can rotate, the play's dead. As we see Lawrence match the TP, he gets the wave, and everything's fine. And it's just Blue Otter walking out with yet another neutral objective.
I love how the one time Lawrence is close to the action, he immediately just teleports back bot lane and just starts farming again. That's kind of just what we've seen so far between these two top laners, and I'm all here for it, honestly. As long as they could be impactful a little bit later on, we'll just have to deal with the wet noodle fights in the meantime.
Well, honestly, the wet noodle fight might be the only chance that Mirage Alliance has in this game, Grapes. As Alorum, I mean, he will be very tanky and tough to deal with. I think Jax should be able to get through him, but Alorum can at least delay things and maybe make a fight like that goes long enough where you are able to stack up these Callista Spears and get a big rend. I think a slower fight definitely benefits Callista, but so tough to play around the mobility of Blue Otter, and now Saligo's caught.
Dashes away from the seismic shove. Here comes Music as well. Lands that counter strike, and Samikin gets another. The rookie mid laner here for Blue Otter having an immediate impact here in this game 1.
I guess we didn't have time to cast that last charge of Spirit Rush. Instead, goes down. Saligo really having a tough game here, being pressured, and now that pressure's just going to fall on the Dardoch.
For a little bit more as well. Not going to continue the chase on to Dardoch, and now Music might be in a little bit of an awkward position. He'll have to jump back towards Rovex. They seemingly want to contest this blue buff at least a little bit, or create enough pressure for Lynx to get another couple of auto attacks onto that mid lane tier 1. They're going to back away, but the gold lead still continues to rise. Over 2,000 now for Blue Otter.
And this lead on paper is not nearly as big of the lead that Blue Otter have on the Rift again. I can't emphasize enough, this Jax is going to be such a menace, such a problem moving forward. And Mirage Alliance, like every play they've attempted, it's really gone sideways. And I have to credit Blue Otter. The way they've attacked Soligo and this Ahri at really all points of the game, Graves, I think it's been the big game changer. Because if Ahri is allowed to freely maneuver and operate in this lane, you can get push and then find angles where Ahri is able to get out of lane and attack sides. Because they've always thrown resources to deny the ultimate cooldown from Ahri, to just take away Flash, even trading Flash for ult from Rovax. Like, that really tells me the priority they have on setting Ahri behind, and it's paid off.
And I know that Soligo was one of the big pieces that Mirage Alliance was super excited to be bringing in for this Ocean tournament. You know, he was on wildcard throughout 2023. Probably, people would say, a very solid mid laner in that challenger space. But so far in this tournament, hasn't really had those pop-off performances. Struggled against Bradley, I would say, in that first round. And here against Samikin, also getting targeted pretty heavily. And if that's the big piece that Mirage Alliance is bringing in, now they're down 5-0 here in Game 1. I worry for how they're going to be able to get back into the league that they promoted into Split Go.
You even see all that focus has led to Samikin being very fed on this map, as well as we do have him going for the Andres into the Seraphs. By the time he finishes this, that Seraphs, or it should be a Seraphs, right? Fully evolved. This Ligo attacked again. That's Flash and ult gone. That's worth dropping the Dragon for. Samikin's just funneled.
Yeah, and now we'll see when they'll target Soligo again, because I'm sure it's going to be soon, given how this game has gone so far. The one winning thing for Mirage Alliance, as you said, they do stop the Dragon stacking, and you get a couple of jungle camps down bottom as well.
It's all for a turret, though, and more gold on Samikin. I think Blue Otter, again, okay with how this played out. Mirage Alliance, yeah, they trade even on gold, but Ahri can't attack, and because they were ahead on the play, given they didn't take the Dragon, they can attack mid, so they take the outer, get a second charge into the inner, get that to half, too, and Blue Otter continue to cruise in this game, as Soligo just really hasn't had any chance to make an impact, given the focus that Blue Otter have thrown into him.
40 CS behind. Samikin, I know his early game was something that we targeted as being something that he could still work on as a newer player. And once we get to the team fighting stage, that's where he really was able to shine as a part of this roster. And seemingly done pretty well in that early game. And that just means we are expecting some big things out of him, both throughout the rest of this game and also just as a player throughout, you know, his young career so far. I mean, this was somebody who first made a name for himself in these off-season combines that were run by teams like Evil Geniuses and Supernova, and the growth that he's had. I mean, I know, I was talking to like Mazel and Kangas, and they said like, oh, I knew this guy was going to be good. He's been really good. Speaking of his opposition, remember, Soligo does not have that flash, and now in a little bit of trouble with the Ignite ticking on him. Samikin coming in with the Weaver's Wall. Dardoch popping the ulti to try to get a little bit of extra space.
Lawrence?
But now Lawrence is coming in through the back line. Dardoch very low. Link's coming in as well. The Jin Zhao is burning. The Void Rush comes through, and Lawrence picks the first kill of the fight for Blue Otter. Is quickly traded back as Neo will respond 1-for-1. And Link's going to continue to go forward here. Arcane Shift, True Shot Barrage just barely missing. That could have been the difference between another kill on the board.
At Blue Otter, they kept on pushing forward. They kind of gave Kalista a decent fight in the end, as Kalista wasn't impacted by either Unraveled Earth. So props to Neo on navigating that. But the opening of the fight, you can see, again, it's just forcing Soligo. 2 ult charges gone. He's at 1/4 health. What kind of impact can he have on this fight? As we see Dardoch, he got put back. He was able to actually sustain rather well off all the fruit that he picked up in the middle of the river. Moving forward, Neo wasn't impacted by Unraveled Earth, so the Kalista actually gets to have a decent fight. And you can see some of the theory of Mirage Alliance with Aloran being able to hold that front line and Neo attacking behind. Stacking up those Rens can be pretty big, but it's just not enough. And again, the openers for Blue Otter, way too good to even give Mirage Alliance a chance. The fact that it was a 1-for-1, probably the best they could have done.
I mean, when you're already having your mid laner without flash, without ulti, and at like 25% HP with the fight starting, it becomes very difficult for your team to win, albeit if not like just not get wiped. And so it's a good thing for Mirage Alliance to at least be in a situation where they're able to get one back. That's kind of the problem with this tank Rek'Sai, is as soon as you go in for the execute,
they're all burned.
Kind of have no way out, and so you kind of go down pretty easily.
I mean, when have we seen Soligo have a Spirit Rush on Mirage Alliance's terms? It hasn't happened all game, Graves.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
And that's as you said, like at the start of the draft, primary engage kind of limited to just that mid jungle. And without those tools, it's Blue Otter continuing to take over this game. That's another kill onto Prismal. Lawrence going to teleport in as well. Dardoch cock in the Crescent will be able to escape, but that's past the 20-minute mark. Blue Otter with a man advantage. Might be going towards the Baron. They're trying to maybe spot off somebody, going for a chase.
Their Baron is slow, and that's why they're trying to play cautious around it, not give Mirage Alliance that window to try and bounce back in, but still, these rinse and repeat plays have been very strong. As Blue Otter going to fix their waves, and they do have a minute from the Dragons, so they do have the option right now to try and reset and get back out on the map on their terms and try and play for this Drake. You know, they're going to stay, and Anakin finds a nice chunk onto Alorum, who has stacked up that armor, but doesn't really have access to MR in his kit yet. Or inventory.
Still taking, a decent amount of deeps with just that WE combo coming out from Samikin. We'll see if he goes back to base and picks up any MR, but kind of just taking a look at the state of this game right now, Cubby. Remember, coming in, we said that we expected Mirage Alliance to be one of the two best teams in this tournament. Thought that that matchup versus CCG could have just been a wash, how good we thought CCG was, but struggling here against Blue Otter. All of a sudden, this 10th seed from the NACL, the expectations are really starting to shift, and that's kind of an interesting thing that can happen over the course of a very short tournament. And now Prismal in a little bit of trouble again. The True Shot Barrage goes wide. Dardoch now tanking 3, pops the Crescent Guard, and will be able to survive for now, but will eventually have to flash away, trying to make it a one-way trip. At Lynx will be able to Crescent Guard away as well. Samikin picks up another kill, and it's 2-0 in favor of Blue Otter. Soligo has to run for the hills, and now our Qualifier 1 champs are headed towards Baron for real.
Yeah, I think Mirage Alliance believed that Blue Otter would play for that Dragon, but Blue Otter, they dropped everything to match the fight. The top side, Alorum didn't have TP to join the fight this time around, so they had numbers. Blue Otter wipe, and they get the real objective in the Baron.
Really great stuff here from Blue Otter. They're going to be able to reset, but not before another Dragon likely goes down. So another potential win here for Mirage Alliance, but it is a bit of a small one. I am interested to see what Blue Otter can do here with this Baron buff. Continue to stack that gold lead, get some of those inner structures, work towards an inhibitor here to try and get themselves up 1-0.
And at this point, you got to believe they can look for the end, as really Udyr is one problem when it comes to them over pushing. That's about it. Everything else can be in the pockets of Blue Otter, and I mean, that fight, again, I really feel like Mirage Alliance tried to take that trade, just believing that Blue Otter would reset and play for the Dragon, but once they spotted Alorum on the bot side, there was no TP, and props to Blue Otter for tracking that. They knew that it would be a 5v4. They're already stronger on the top side, so that play that Mirage Alliance were trying to initiate the trade, instead it's answered. It's a good call from Blue Otter as they pick up the Baron and continue to really cruise in this game. And I have to credit Blue Otter, because they're going up against a very experienced team in Mirage Alliance. They've been in these scenarios before, but it really feels like they understood the game plan that they needed to have to really pull this game out better. And the pressuring of this Ahri, just never letting this pick, which is a counter to Taliyah, actually be able to play out the matchup, was the big difference in this game for me.
Well, maybe a last-ditch effort here. Alorum gonna get stunned up, caught between 3 members of Blue Otter. Samikin all by himself trying to fight 2v1, forces the Spirit Rush, I should say, out of Soligo. So he's already out of the fight. Blue Otter coming back down towards this bottom lane inhibitor turret. They're able to pick it up, and that crystal, not long for this world.
They did reset. I think they might look for a fight, as Alorum could push up. There were a couple ults missing that I thought they might actually try and push, but not the case. Just going to fix their ways. They do save the inhib, but Blue Otter rotate out. They get some more gold in their shoulders, and yeah, they're going to TP to that top lane so they can make sure they take down all the inner turrets for this Baron.
Slow and methodical. That is what Blue Otter were known to do back in the qualifiers. Play these late game sequences out well. Once they have that lead, just really suffocate their opponents, and that is what they are doing here in this game. Number 1, not going to be able to get much after that inner turret in the top lane, and now Mirage Alliance looking to chase him down. Alorum, not the best engage, it's just a bear running at him, and with Soligo throwing out that charm, looks like now Mirage Alliance are on the retreat. However, Music and Samikin might have some other ideas. They land the Unraveled Earth onto Alorum and force Mirage Alliance back to their base.
Rovex on the pike ends up taking down the inhibitor turret. That's rather sneaky. His team
did
did reset. Yeah, he's doing what he needs to do for the team there. Grapes does take that down. And, I mean, again, Blue Otter, they've really turned this into a boring game. And I got to say, this is crazy from Mirage Alliance. I mean, once everyone saw these roster changes come out from this team, people were like, you know what? The problems are fixed. Like, this was a team that, I know, in spring, they didn't exactly work together well as a 5-stack. These changes, they felt like that would change, and the talent they had in this roster would really get them through this promotion tournament. But now, they're looking to be one game away from relegation here, Grapes. I mean, this is not the way I expected them to go out at all. We expected them to be the ones actually getting through this tournament. Yeah. Not Bot 4 being blown out in a game like this where they really never had a chance to get in this game.
I haven't even taken a game win so far in this tournament, and going to be 0-3 unless they can make something happen right here. Dardoch's going to jump in. Lawrence pretty low, but that Derek shield is just huge as Dardoch will go down to Lynx. It is now 1-0. Blue Otter looking for more. Neo going to get flashed on. It's a double kill for the Ezreal. And Blue Otter looking for the throat. Arcane shift over the wall. Mid lane inhibitor down. Potentially more to follow.
2 inhibitors for sure, and a base likely to boot as Blue Otter continue to push around their goal lead. Mirage Alliance again. They took a comp that, for me, needed to win early. They needed to find lane leads and push that into other parts of the map. They just never got the opportunity to do so. It was, I think, bot lane, Lynx and Robax played that level 1 really nicely. Music found the kill level 2. And then it was just the constant onslaught onto this Ahri mid. So they'll never be able to get proactive plays as Lynx, he's probably going to go down. It's like the first winning play Mirage Alliance has found.
They definitely overstayed his welcome a little bit. They should have all based, I think. And so Lynx is going to pay for their sins. It actually does mean, Cubby, Dragon's going to be up in 35 seconds. Lynx is just going to be respawned by then. So maybe an opportunity for Mirage to claim Soul Point, but they're down 9,000 gold. Blue Otter might be able to win 4v5.
I don't know if they're going to try and take it. They just afford to play top lane. It is still a little bit tricky getting through this Udyr. And as you called out, definitely a little bit of a overstay. Blue Otter showing a little bit of their youth. Lynx, though, a player that we had in Challengers League for a little bit. Don't expect those kinds of mistakes out of him. But will lead to at least a soul point for Mirage Alliance. Ocean Soul, I will say, with Udyr, it's pretty nasty. And 3 Oceans will make a bit of a difference, so we're always going to be fighting on even footing. And Callisto late game against Ezreal actually has some value, so I still think that Blue Otter should be able to put this game away, but Mirage Alliance, he's finding a winning play that can maybe use to build some confidence into the next game for themselves.
Well, you said, building that front line for Callisto going to be important, so that extra healing going to help at least a little bit if they're able to pick it up. Inhibitor tower number 3, not dead just yet. It's very low, but nobody going to be able to finish it off until another wave ends up crashing down top lane. Blue Otter going to be able to escape. They're still up 8,000 gold, so we're just going to see what happens in order for them to close. It's going to start with this Baron, their second of the game.
The 2 inhibitors are fallen, so this Baron will be free. Mirage Alliance cannot leave their base. And this time, sometimes it's just a wake-up call for a team. It's like, oh boy, we screwed up once. We need to get back to you were talking about, Grapes, right? That calm, cool, and collected play that we're used to seeing from Blue Otters throughout those views. As this team playing with a level of maturity that we're not always used to seeing out of even some of our NACL teams.
Yeah, I mean, you have Lawrence, who's been around the block for a while, played at Harrisburg, then played on a bunch of Tier 3 winning teams, subbed in for some Academy squads. You have Music and Lynx, who were just in the NACL last split. The only new piece is Samikin, and so far, he's also looked incredibly mature, which is something that we're going to have to continue to watch throughout this promotion tournament. Second Baron buff in the hands now of Blue Otter. They're looking for the kill, and they find the first onto Prismal. Alarm is tanky. Is he tanky enough to withstand 4 members? Not so sure just yet. Crescent Guard knocks 2 back, and Dardoch will now be the target. Lynx picks it up, and now it was on to the Nexus turrets. Blue Water still 5 strong, and it's only Soligo and Neo to try and defend.
Everything put together in the end for Blue Otters as Mirage Alliance, again, they took an early game comp and they got beaten early game. This is what happens afterwards. Props to Blue Otters, who had a fantastic game plan to really utilize the river to attack mid. That ended up being the big difference. They find this game won.
Oh, trying to pad those KDAs a little bit. Lawrence does end up biting it, but there's the seismic shove. There's the Nexus, and it's Blue Otter, our qualifier team, taking game 1 of this lower bracket best of 3.
Now, I will say, if we want to get tinfoil hat on, Grapes, looking at this tournament, There've been a lot of reverse sweeps so far. And I've even seen Samikin tweeting out, like, maybe the strat is that we lose game 1 into reverse sweep. So maybe that is what Mirage Alliance can hang on to. But as you called out, going into the series, I really felt like Mirage Alliance lost 0-2 to the best team that we have in the tournament in CCG. And for me, this could be a barometer for where is Mirage Alliance going to be? You know, like how strong can they be in this tournament? That was a game where they were really taken out of it early, and we never really got to see them get into the game. It'd be really sad to not see them get into this tournament. So hopefully they put together a better game too, and they are going to need to if they want to stay alive.
They have all the players that have had experience and had success at this level before. And so we'll see if they have the tools to come back once again, have some more life before falling 0-4 in this promotion tournament. We're going to send it to a short break. We'll be right back with Game 2 between Blue Otter and Mirage.
They said it couldn't be done. They said the world would never accept a cookie this long. Or a churro, and probably not a pretzel either. They also said, under no circumstances should those really long and delicious treats be wildly affordable. To which we said, but we already made them. And they are. Introducing the incredible new foot-long sidekicks. Get one at Subway today.
Before this guy won this, he actually won this. And now these guys, they're trying to do the same.
He's looking for the killer instinct. He's going
Basu.
in. He finds 2. He finds 3.
Basu, you are utterly ridiculous. This guy is also trying to do what that guy did. And he didn't win one of those, but he did win this.
Welcome to the new era. A toast to our champions, disguised.
This guy played one split of LCS and then made semis at Worlds.
It's been a long journey, but I'm happy to be here now.
He's always been really good, but he finally made the comeback. Oh, and he did it with this guy. This guy won Academy, and he had some dreams.
I want to be like the best NA mid laner to go to Worlds, right?
Dokla, however, very, very low. Reinforced by the Senna ultimate. And the Pop Blossom is so awesome.
This kid? Yeah, this kid. He actually didn't win an Academy, but a lot of people thought he was good, and boy, were they right. This guy made Worlds his very first year as a player. It took him a while to get back. He even played with this kid. But then, they did all of this together.
Nobody thought they'd win LCS. Nobody thought they'd beat G2. It's time to change your minds.
You know all of these names, but do you know the names of who's next? The future of the LCS starts right after the LCS. Welcome to Challengers League.
Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.